Hey everybody, this is John Lanham with SHAED here at ACT 2024, and we have a really exciting discussion today around dealer readiness, and a wonderful team of experts here in this space to have that conversation. I'd like to start out with Ben Bercham from Rexel Energy. Take it away.
Thanks, John. Ben Bercham from Rexel Energy Solutions. We're a wholesale electrical distributor. Our energy division concentrates on energy efficient measures, so lighting, HVAC, motors, and we have a specific division for EV charging stations, which is quite a technical product. So we have a pretty large team that helps customers, contractors with sort of their EV build out from commercial to residential. Thank you.
I'm Christian Stokes with Mercedes-Benz USA in the van division. So specifically coming to talk to you guys today about some of the efforts that we partnered with Rexel and ChargePoint on getting our commercial van dealerships ready to go, what they need in the front of the house, the back of the house, all that and more. So thanks for having me, and I'll hand it over to Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby Snader, commercial dealership manager with ChargePoint, covering North America. Really, we just want to act as that all-stop shop solution, having the partner, having the relationships with the OEMs, and really having all the resources, answering questions for commercial dealerships to support both their facilities but their fleet customers as well. And hand it over to Jessie.
Thanks, Bobby. Hi, Jessie Butala, also with the ChargePoint team. I manage our relationships with our fleet commercial OEM vehicle manufacturers, and really just highlighting how we can go to market to meet the needs of their specific programs, their customers, and really kind of combine all of our partners and our ideas to have creative deployments and effective solutions for them. So everyone is ready as soon as those vehicles are ready to go. Thanks.
So I guess the challenge that we've seen with dealership rollouts is every dealership is different. So there's large ones, smaller ones, and some are involved and not so involved in sort of building out their electrical infrastructure. It's a challenge as some of them have their own contractors, some of them don't have contractors that are educated. Electrical vehicle charging stations is very new to the industry. So, and most dealerships, they're concentrating on selling vehicles. So getting the infrastructure is very important when adding electrical vehicles to the fleet. And a lot of them don't have a lot of time. So Rexel sort of steps in and helps educate the dealerships, talks about the speed of charging stations, where to put them, works with their contractors that, it's new to them as well on the install side of things, and kind of handhold the process and try and make it as easy as possible, and kind of not make a mountain out of an anthill when it comes to sort of the infrastructure. And that's it, and just take a pretty soft approach to them and make it as easy as possible. So.
Right, and I would agree with that. I mean, the fact that you say a soft approach, you want to have a warm experience being this first transition into the EV world, because fleet customers have questions. They're going to be going out to the commercial dealerships asking questions, and then the commercial dealership's going to be reaching out to the OEMs for these questions, and then we're partnering with the OEMs to deliver this full turnkey solution. And that's exactly what Mercedes-Benz kind of trusted ChargePoint and Rexel to do for their commercial dealerships, and then in the long run help scale their commercial fleets as well.
Yeah, no, it was really great for us to be able to partner with Rexel and ChargePoint. On the commercial vehicle side at Mercedes-Benz, we're a very lean organization. So we don't really have a formal charging team. It was really just myself. And so being able to find the right partners out in the industry who have that necessary experience to have a deeper conversation with our dealers and answer those questions that can get pretty technical when you're looking at, installing DC fast charging stations for guests in the front of your house, but also putting, AC charging stations on your work bays in the workshop, as well as having kind of back of house inventory charging. So you can imagine now we're getting into the waters of, do you need another electrical panel? Are there enough transformers in your part of the city? So again, it being new to us, we're just now launching our e-Sprinter, and it's just now hitting the market, but about 90% of our dealers are what we call e-Sprinter ready, and they've met our requirements that we kind of set forth from a corporate standpoint. And when you meet those requirements, we say, okay, now you can sell our electric product. So it is very much, with dealerships, it is kind of pushing them into a new area and transformation. And so we found that kind of having that carrot stick approach in order to meet those requirements helped kind of give also the Rexel and the ChargePoint teams the necessary oomph, if you will, to have that conversation with the dealer. But yeah, just being able to have kind of a handoff process in those kind of weekly meetings with Rexel and ChargePoint to track our progress was, I would say, a great success as we look back at it now, and knowing that we're 90% complete and having the validation of the pictures to show that the charging stations were actually installed. So we're excited. The product is just now hitting our dealerships, but we feel like we prepared things pretty well.
Yeah, and I think, we like to consider that the phase one, the dealer readiness. What we've hopefully done is instill confidence in those dealers, how seamlessly the process went with Ben's team, with Rexel. And now those dealers are going to turn around and be able to come back to the same group to say, hey, help my fleet customers electrify. Hey, they're buying one van, they're buying two van. This year, they don't know where to start, and it's not really the dealer's wheelhouse yet, their responsibility yet to kind of figure that all out for them. And we already have the avenue set up between what ChargePoint put up with the Mercedes folks. We already have a resource center. They can come straight to us, and we will help their fleets now get set up. We will say, hey, what do you guys need on site? We can partner them back up with Ben's team, and this becomes a cycle where now Ben's team has won the trust of that dealer. The dealer is comfortable. They have the same product that their customers are going to end up needing at their sites too. So it becomes a way for the customer to be like, okay, that's a valid solution. I see it on site at my dealership. I can actually go pick it up, touch it, try to plug it into a vehicle, and it becomes kind of this experience center as well for that dealer. So it's something we can take again off the OEM's plate, off the dealer's plate, and really keep on delivering in whatever format they need. It's a small fleet, it's a large fleet. We have the partners and we have all the resources already set up through this funnel to be able to provide that and report it back to Mercedes as well. I think, one thing Christian mentioned is the transparency, the weekly reporting. We want to be able to bring that back in to the OEM so you guys can track your electrification plans, right? So, I think anything else you guys are looking for, we're going to be able to follow up, provide that, and, bring in the best partners possible.
And I think credit to Christian to lean into a partnership and recognize the value in it prior to even rolling it out, because there are other dealership rollouts where there were no partnerships. It was, this is what you need to do, and off they go. And there's over 200 dealerships, that we were talking to for the Mercedes e-Sprinter. Another rollout, they'd be doing it 200 different ways. So we had a consistent message. The message was coming from us as experts, and we were guiding them exactly the same way across the whole portfolio, whereas we've been involved or on the outside of dealerships who were coming in and unwinding bad work and bad advice, or where people were just sending equipment and then having their contractor deal with it and they had no idea how to do it. So I think it was that was the key to success, is seeing the value in the partnership and sort of working with us, because that consistent message is really important, because we've seen it when it doesn't happen, and that's where frustration gets in.
I'm kind of thinking back on what were some of the early things that we did to launch the program before we even started calling dealers, and I think one key component for us was creating what we called the e-Sprinter Readiness Manual. And so, you had a specific section in that manual that just talks about the charging requirements, but other things that were in that manual were, the technical training that needs to happen, the special tools that you need in your workshop, and again, a variety of other topics. But sitting down with Rexel and ChargePoint and going through the draft of the manual, getting that initial feedback so you can incorporate it in before you just rush out to market and kind of push it to the dealers. I think that was super valuable, because at that point, right, you're including your partners from the inception of the requirements that you're making. You're getting that kind of professional advice. And so I can only recommend that to other OEMs if you're getting into, this transformation, is align early, align often with your partners. And that's going to create a much smoother program, because when those dealers have questions of Rexel and ChargePoint, when they're having those discussions, well, those same partners were involved in the creation of the requirements. So those questions become a lot easier to answer. And then also just, sharing that manual so that your partners have it. I think that was a great best practice.
And it was well organized. So I always say organized partners make us organized. So we still had many conversations with the dealerships walking through that, because they want it translated, in a conversation. But it was a real good sort of guide that conversation, and sort of humanize it a little bit, sort of educate a little bit further than, too much information in some of these manuals is probably goes the other way. But we're actually explain why we're doing the certain level 2s, why you would have one at the front of the house, and sort of walk them through that. But the guide was a real strong sort of foundation for those conversations. And yeah, again, organized from the beginning.
Yeah, and I think that's a great transition actually to the next step in the partnership, as far as, okay, great, we have the commercial dealerships electrified, whether they're with ChargePoint stations or a third-party ChargePoint or a third-party station as well. They're electrified, and now they have a partnership, a program where they can go and ask questions and engage their fleet customers as well. And great, we already have the foundation, we have the dream team all set aside right now. So as far as scaling that relationship, we have that already in stone.
Ben, can you speak a little to the timeline of some of these projects? Because I think that's something we run into a lot. People saying, hey, I'm not getting a vehicle for 6 months or 12 months. What does that conversation look like when Rexel's working with them? How soon do you guys recommend getting started? And what does that project end up looking like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think there was a deadline on the program, which helped us. We didn't want to sort of use the stick as much. But, a lot of them were focused on that. But there are dealership programs that are a little bit more lenient or a little bit more vague on it. We just talk about the time for construction and how long it takes, and permitting, and that it generally costs more money if you have to procrastinate and do it quickly. And there's no real penalty for doing it early. We encourage them to do it. I feel like procrastinating a construction project is pretty risky, but a lot of the programs, they need to know early on who's in when they're allocating the vehicles, because there's long lead time on vehicles and so forth. So we lean on that quite a bit, and sort of just talk to the benefits of doing it now and doing it organically, versus rushing it because you sort of kick the can down the road.
Yeah, maybe I'll add on to that, Ben. There was a high level of variability, kind of like what you mentioned in the beginning, that every dealer is a bit different. And I think it was important for us as Mercedes-Benz, having such a strong dealer network, going into that understanding that every dealer was different. And there are cases, we had one, right, where okay, the dealership needed a new transformer outside on the street, right? Lead times for new transformers, that's, all right, now we're talking not a 3-month project. We're talking, potentially 9 months to 12 months to get that transformer in there. And so making sure that you have a process in place for exceptions, things that occur like that, is also important, and not just backing your partner, the dealership in our case, into a corner and saying, no, you just got to figure it out. So I thought that was another kind of mid-program pivot that we were able to make, to say, okay, you do run into issues with some of these projects, but it's important to be able to have those exceptions in place. And we still want them to meet the requirements, but maybe there's a midterm solution that can be put in place while we're waiting on that transformer to come in. Just kind of using that as an example. I think, we talked about the carrot stick approach as an OEM, but you also need to be empathetic to the dealers who are making this investment to push this new product that you're manufacturing.
Right, and developing that roadmap along the way. What can we do today? How can we support your vehicles today, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Those questions that are not being asked. And so, right, developing that roadmap within the first 30 days of the project starting. And so we can take a look at that with our trusted partners who have those local relationships with the EPCs. And, yeah.
Thank you.